We are ready to go finally. Just a couple minutes late, so welcome everybody. I'm Fletch, in case you haven't been on live before. My office hours are pretty much everything goes. You can kind of ask any questions you might have about money getting mindset, kind of the process of getting acclimated to OMG, or of course any technical aspects of SEO or online marketing in general. I'm going to go ahead and do a backup real quick here, recording. Okay, yeah, just had a sound check going. So I'm going to get a backup with Camtasia going here real quick, if I can just find it. Yeah, recently YouTube kind of changed their policies on what they were recording. So I'm just going to make sure that we have a recording. That being said, what we wound up with last session, for those who were live, you obviously experienced what we had, but for anybody else, we were unable to get a recording. So we're going to make sure that we have that this time. Yeah, let's see what we got here. Full screen. Let's see if we can change the screen to Thunderbolt display. That should be good. Camera, we're going to change it to other camera. Okay, cool. System audio, we should be good without that. So do a recording as backup. Just getting everything set up here, guys, and then we'll get going on the questions. So I think we're in good shape. All right, so we're going to do a screen share real quick here with the actual browser window that I'm running. So the recording will have a record of the questions on the video. So what I typically do is go through and read questions from people who ask them in the chat box, and then answer, depending on what we have or we need to do. Mostly it's verbal, but sometimes it becomes like a demonstration. So I may open up another browser window and kind of show you guys what I'm talking about, or kind of go through things. So yeah, Carol let me know that she had several questions she'd posted in the chat box because she was going to be unable to attend live, which is totally cool. This is actually a very easy way for me to answer questions without someone being on live, and we are more than happy to do that. So, all right. So, hey, Fletch, Carol really despise having to miss another office hours. Just work. So, getting in the way of OMGing, but we drop these questions here ahead of time, regardless if I'm able to attend live, sadly. Okay. So question 1 from Carol here. Per My City Guide, I'd like to cross over multiple surrounding cities and towns so as not to get Google smashed by Mr. Gregory Ortiz. Can I have these cities and towns ganged together? Example being top 10 best restaurants or eateries, #1 name of eatery in city town, #2 name of eateries in cities and town. Yeah, another close by city town. So let me reread that real quick. Sounds like Carol's kind of getting at whether or not she needs to be very specific with her keywords as far as the geographic area is concerned. Yeah, to some degree, Carol. If you're actually including the name of the city in your keywords, so far Google has not been able to say, if I'm ranking in Phoenix for best restaurant, it won't necessarily rank me at all for Scottsdale necessarily. So you need to be able to mention the name of the city in some fashion on page or through your link anchor text. My preference would be to do it with on page. So just make sure that you mention the name of the towns or the cities that you want to rank in on your site, and then just use anchor text for best restaurants or something like that, or best eateries. And you should be able to do very well with that kind of strategy if I'm interpreting your question correctly. Question 2, also, should I have different pages on the site for, say, best restaurants in place 1, best shopping in page 2, best nightlife? Yeah, each of those should probably be a different page, Carol. There's a publication and a website in Phoenix. It's called Best Of, and it really is a best of website for Phoenix. And it includes all sorts of things like that. You can go check out their website to see how they do it. It actually ranks really well. Their marketing program is not really based on SEO or search traffic, but they rank for a lot of terms. So if somebody was going to say, top 10 restaurants in Phoenix, it would be, you would most likely find their website talking about that stuff. So, all right, question 3, dang it, must Google know everything about us? Not my actual question. How do I rank YouTube videos in other states? Do I need to have and get a local phone number, virtual phone numbers? Yeah. I'd like to rank everything I see thus far speaks to local. The phone numbers, you can have an 800 number. It's not going to geolocate you by your area code, Carol, but make sure you watch Greg's videos on ranking videos. Yeah, Greg's videos on ranking YouTube videos, because there are a couple settings that you want to make sure that you designate for the location that will help you rank well in specific areas. So the phone number is not necessarily going to drive your search results, but there's it's not a checkbox. It's actually kind of like a form field that you'd fill in that will tell Google where the video or the business is located. So you want to make sure you do that. All right, question 4, citations. I don't know, or really understand these things. However, if you have a website with a non-niche business name and your biz name and domain has no keywords in it, how do you rank your company for search keywords relevant to the citations? Or does that matter as long? Okay, so yeah, Carol, I think the question Carol has is, if your business name does not have any of your keywords in it, then how are citations going to tell Google what your business is about? So if you go into the Google My Business page, so if you're setting up your listing for a local plumbing company, for instance, there's a specific field within the different qualities you set up for that business that will tell Google what you are. If you're a plumbing company, if you're a restaurant, or whatever else. The rest of that is going to be derived from your on page, from your Google My Business listing, as well as the website you connect it to. So all those things kind of work together to tell Google what your company is about. All right, question 5. You had answered, thank you for your email, that you use MacMail, meaning you have all your SEO related email forwarded to one MacMail account. What is that? Can you explain? Yeah, so that was oh wait, I missed some of the question, but what about setting up multiple emails for YouTube, Facebook, other Web2 accounts and or hosting accounts? Do you use HMA? And if so, what is that? So more and more I've gotten into, like, if I'm setting up Facebook, especially if I'm setting up YouTube or anything like that, I'll just have an outsourcer do it. It'll have a different IP address. And as long as I don't get too crazy with what I'm trying to do there, it hasn't caused any problems yet. The question, though, does come back to having a central address. What I meant by that, Carol, is when I'm installing WordPress, different installers will have different options. Sometimes you can have the details emailed to you. And when I do have them emailed to me, I never use a Gmail address. Gmail does scan and scrape all the emails going in and coming out of your Gmail account. And I just don't want Google to see, 200 different WordPress installations, sitting in my Gmail inbox. So if I'm doing anything like that, I'll use essentially a catch-all email address that is not Gmail based. But for that other stuff, I've become more and more a fan of just outsourcing. You can get like accounts set up from Fiverr. Pardon me, guys. Got a little bit of a cough. From Fiverr, and you can get 15 or 20 of the top PR and domain authority sites set up that way. And that's what I would do in that case. Okay. Where are we here? All right. All right. One more from Carol here. No, I've got what stands for, but is it a plugin software or something else to buy? No, I've got what? Okay, so yeah, in that situation, that Mac, it's a, like I think the email address is jfletcher@mac.com. So yeah, I pay I pay like $10 a year for that email address. So not a plugin. You don't need to worry about that. Just get a central email that's not Gmail that you can forward all your details to. And then that way, if you ever lose them, you can go back to one email account and find those details later. Please help me comprehend these and how they actually work. So lost. Hopefully that cleared that up, Carol. If you watch this replay and you still have questions, let's jump on a Skype real quick. You're probably just not putting one or two things together. It's not a real overly complicated situation. I just may not be describing it very well. So I apologize for that. All right. Whoo, thank you. Sorry for hogging. No, it's totally cool, Carol. Definitely got a good jump start on this. And yeah, Mom and the new baby are doing great. So thank you for commenting on that. Okay, Noel. Hey, Fletch, I'm building a My City Guide site along the lines of Mile High Plumbing model, and it will incorporate about 7 different locations. My number of pages is going to be in excess of 200. How do I go about ranking all these pages, or do I have to? So a lot of those pages are going to rank by default, Noel. Just if you do a good silo structure and get your keywords and your themes linked well together. One of the things that's going to really help you with building out a silo site is that your on-page links actually count. So the menu items on Mile High Plumbing are actually links to those specific pages. Let me, hopefully I can demonstrate what's going on with that. I actually had 2 calls today for this site, and it actually just calls my cell phone at the moment. So it's kind of weird. But for instance, here, if we're looking for Lakewood Plumber, you can see here that this specific page has links out for, all these different locations. So if I were on like this Thawing Pipes Lakewood, this specific page, Thawing Pipes Lakewood, is going to be linking to right here, Lakewood, Colorado Plumber. That's going to be the exact same situation on all these other pages. So one of the things that a silo site does for you is it creates a lot of backlinks by default that are on-page backlinks, but they still count. So when I build a site like this, I usually start with good silo structure, and then from there, I'll just link to like this page, get the page authority up, or I'll link to code violation repair, and because this page then is going to rank well and have some link juice, this link juice is going to trickle down to all of these other menu items over here. Whoops. Hopefully that makes sense. So all these items in the sidebar are going to get some link juice because the page over here, the main page, has got good ranking ability and good power and authority. So great question though. No, you do not have to rank every page actively, meaning you don't have to send specific links to it, because having good on-site architecture is going to cover a lot of that stuff. So pardon me, guys. Got a lot of frog in my throat. All right, Rob, thanks for being on. Glad you're here, buddy. All right, Kara, hope so, Kathleen. I'm wondering the same thing. Yes, hopefully you guys are on. Let me actually go and check my my email real quick, guys. Just make sure somebody didn't get okay, KJ, looks like you got on just fine. We've got a couple questions here, guys, so just bear with me real quick. Just going to drop some links in a couple emails here real quick to make sure that our people are in the right place and they have the information they need. Okay, let me see if that got a few people who were having some questions and a couple issues getting logged on today. All right, should be good. All right, Rob, hopefully having issues. Did we start? Yeah, we have so far, Rob. Pat Cranny, hey Fletch, first time in office hours, although I've watched a couple times. Information's awesome. Great to have you here, Pat. Glad you're here. All right, Kara, my parents are in MLM, and I want to help them. They have a pre-built site from their company I've purchased in EMD and want to build it and rank it for them to send to my parents' site to the shopping cart for purchase. Okay, that would work. As I'm entering descriptions for a product, would I link to their site and the final phase if you will of the checkout process? Yeah, it kind of depends on how their cart's set up, Kara. You could even create kind of a duplicate cart and just send the actual details to their checkout system, if you kind of catch my drift. Or you can have people who are interested in buying just go over and buy products directly from their site. So not super savvy on e-commerce. I've done a little bit of it, but it kind of depends on which cart system you're using and really kind of how you want to maintain the relationship kind of with the customer as they're checking out. Might be easiest just to, when they hit buy, to send them to, just to tell the customer that they're going to be directed to the actual cart, and then let them finish the purchase process on the first site, so that you don't have to set up two, totally separate cart systems. All right, Rob, do lengthy video descriptions and tags help the video rank for LSI and additional terms? If that is the case, is it normal for the videos to take a while to rank for those additional terms that are not in your title? So yes, I do like rather lengthy descriptions, Rob. I think they do help a video rank for more terms, not only in the Google engine, but in the YouTube engine specifically. I definitely like to put a few tags in there that are relevant to the video that I'm ranking. And those being things that are on site only, yeah, they do take longer to really kick in than kind of anchor text. Anchor text is kind of the big kahuna for how quickly and easily you can tell Google what a video or a website are about. Keep in mind, we a lot of times use spammy links, or we have up to this point, to rank videos, but you do not need to. You can use blog network sites. You can use anchor text from properties that you own or control. So if you've got a Twitter account with a bunch of followers, you can definitely drop a link from that Twitter account to the video. You're going to get not only kind of click-throughs and some on-page metrics, but you're going to get that anchor text and that link. So yeah, so the answer to your question is yes, I like to have quite a bit of actual written content about videos. They definitely do help it rank for more terms, but they do take longer when you're just doing it that way. Title tag is actually a very big component as well, as you mentioned there, but you can only get so many terms in a title. So beyond that, the description and your tags are going to come into play. All right, Kara, would I build a PB into my site or my parents' pre-built non-optimized site? It kind of depends on how bad or good their site is, Kara. If it's actually pretty decent, you can just rank their site. You know, building a separate site that's kind of duplicate is, you know, it's not necessarily going to kill you for SEO. You know, duplicate content is not as big of an issue as most people make it out to be. But at the same time, why build another site when you don't need to? So if their site is pretty good on page, meaning that it's got the on-page factors in place, your URL, your title tags, even some H1 tags are relevant to what you want to rank for, and it loads pretty well, and it's on its own hosting, you may have an easier or quicker time just ranking their website. So hopefully that makes sense and fits in the actual question scenario that you're asking about. Okay. All right, Lorraine, evening, Fletch. Regarding a post I read on Facebook, I had my breakthrough early on. I'm crystal clear on the direction. You know, I'm stuck daily. Okay, paralyzed because I actually believe it could work. Sad but true. But making the work scares me. Making this work scares me. Anyway, I hope acknowledging that helps me move past it. Yeah, Lorraine, if it's you know, one of the things that I encountered, I don't know if this is what you're describing, but I do know that people have reported to me, just hearing somebody else that's gone through it has helped them kind of just say it's okay. It was actually a little bit weird for me to start posting content and linking from it. You know, I thought that there was like a, you know, I don't know if I thought there was like a Google employee that was constantly watching everything I did, or if I did something that was wrong, I would, you know, blow my whole online career up, or, you know, it was something along those lines that I really, you know, it probably doesn't sound like it from, you know, how quickly I was able to get going, but it was a real struggle for me. The only real effort it took for me, you know, the internal kind of conflict or friction was to get myself to put stuff out on the internet and link to different properties and put you know, at the time we were kind of getting started with SEO a couple years ago, you know, spun content was this big thing. And I'd start a campaign on Magic Submitter, and I was worried that the places that posted to would, you know, I don't know, pick up the phone and call me and hound me about spam or, you know, whatever it might be. And it, you know, it's one of those things that it's good to be aware of. You know, there's nothing wrong with thinking about it, but at the same time, you have to look kind of at the result you want and the way it's accomplished, and really kind of the scenario that the way Google works has created. And, you know, you can try to recreate the system or wish the system were different, but it's going to be very tricky and going to take you much longer if you allow that to really hamper your actions on a daily basis. One of the things I did do early on was to just create a total, you know, false persona on the internet. That was not me. It was not my website necessarily. It was my website, but it wasn't, you know, my face out there and all this other kind of stuff. And I just started using it as a way to take action, but to not have that necessarily like this personal like connection to it, if that makes any sense. And just in so doing, it wound up ranking much quicker, much better than I'd hoped. And it was kind of one of those things. It was like, oh wait, I did all this stuff, and, you know, nobody was knocking on my door telling me to stop, you know, this or that or the other. And I think that really helped me kind of have a subsequent breakthrough in, I guess, fear or apprehension connected to SEO activities. Like I saw SEO being the way for me to have a totally different life, but at the same time I had to do these things. And so that's kind of the consolidation period. If you've watched the recent Law of Implication, the breakthrough stacking series that David did, the consolidation is really going through and not only getting the details, but doing the details. And so if it helps you to kind of create a whole separate situation where you're just taking action that seems appropriate from the training videos, that might be one way to move forward. Hopefully that that was at least on on point for the question you asked or the hang up that you're having currently. So, all right, Lorraine, now for the real questions. I've posted some content meant for a new PBN onto my actual money site. If I take it off the money site and put it back on the PBN, will that not be a footprint? No, if you delete it first, it won't be a problem. That being said, you know, if it's an article that costs $2, it's probably worth $2 to just get a different article written. Especially if it was something for a PBN, it's probably not super high quality. So a situation like that, I'd probably just get a new article written. You'll not worry about it that way too. So it shouldn't be a problem technically, but at the same time, you know, the psychological game here is at play as well. And you want to kind of take your foot off the brake as much as you can. Okay, and then Facebook today, someone mentioned having lots of Web 2 for Tier 2 and 3. What is Tier 2 and 3 and possibly 4, 5, 6 for that matter, if they even exist? Yeah. So we've got our money site. That's the site that we want to rank. The links that point directly to that money site are what we call Tier 1 links. Those are, you know, what we typically use as a PBN or a Twitter account or something like that. Well, we can also have a Tier 2 link, which is a link that points to that PBN. That PBN then points to our money site. So the second kind of order of a flow for link juice would be a Tier 2. Tier 3 would backlink to the Tier 2, which then links to the Tier 1, which then links to our money site. So essentially just kind of like that whole 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon game that people play, where, you know, you've got to connect one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing to Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon's the money site. So, you know, whether there's 7 degrees or not, on the internet, most things are related. That's kind of how that game works. So we typically will build, you know, when we are researching an expired domain, we definitely look at the backlinks pointing to that site. So those are already going to be what would be referred to as Tier 2 links to our money site once we acquire that expired domain. So that's kind of how that works. All right, Sean, what do you use in lieu of the inaccurate keyword planner tool? Keyword planner tool, even though it's inaccurate, it is still probably better than any alternatives other than just experience and thinking things through, which sounds kind of like, well, if you don't have experience, you can't do it. But you can. You can go and look at some of the better ranking authoritative sites in your niche, Sean. You can go to Wikipedia and start to pull concepts and terms off of authoritative websites. If there's a term on there that is worth mentioning and having a Wikipedia entry for, it's going to be something that people are looking for. So I definitely use kind of third-party authoritative websites to help me do my keyword research. All right, Rob, if you are, or if we are setting up a website for a specific city and we purchase domain that includes the city name in it, should we not use it in the service page, i.e. URL cut? That's fine. Are we better off URL cut? If you've got the city name in the domain name, I would leave it out of the rest of the URLs, Rob. I would put it on your page, you know, in a footer or in a sidebar, like an address or something like that. But I would not have it, the city name itself, repeat, you know, twice, I guess, in the URL string, which will include the domain name as well as any inner pages. All right, Coco. Hey, Fletch, congrats again for the new member of your family. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, Rob Dang, DenverPlumber.com, Denver Burst Pipe Repair, or better off making sites, DenverPlumber.com, Burst Pipe Repair. Yeah, that second option, Rob, is what I was trying to get at. So hopefully that makes sense. This one, I would just leave that. I would not repeat Denver in the URL string if you've got it in the domain name. All right, Sean, for the first 60 days, you said you had some clients give a deposit for future leads up to the months in advance. How'd you do that? What am I missing? Well, most of the time when somebody buys something, they buy it, you know, they pay money for it. And with leads, all my leads are prepay anyway. So you call a deposit, or you just say, hey, you want 20 leads, you pay for 20 leads, and we get those to you, you know, as quickly and expeditiously as we can. Whether that's through SEO or even doing pay-per-click if you need to, or going and knocking on 10 doors and getting somebody to call this company. It's up to you to fulfill on that. So it really kind of comes down to the rapport you can build and the value you understand those clients have, and then just making sure you fulfill on that. So, you know, I have mentioned the specific term deposit. I probably, going back, I would have not said that because I just currently I sell all my leads prepay. So if somebody wants 10 leads, they pay for 10 leads, and then I send them to them as they come through organically. One of the things you can definitely do when you're selling these kind of leads, people don't generate leads this way. Like, there are a few people that do SEO leads, very, very few. Most lead gen companies and brokers generate leads off of outbound call centers, out of direct mail, out of buying other people's lists and enticing people to call and say, yeah, I'm interested in a skylight or whatever it might be. So with SEO, you just frame it differently. You just say, hey, you're going to get the people when they decide that they want these things. That's why they convert so much higher. That's why they're so much easier to work with. This is the way these customers are the right ones to work with. This is not, you can't compare this to what Home Advisor does or to what, you know, some of the other big lead brokers for construction or medical or anything do. The way we run our stuff with SEO and organic traffic is just totally different. So that may be the thing you're missing. It's just a situation where what we're selling is not the common way to sell leads. Not many people do it. All right, Lorraine, I would like to add a page to my money site, and on this additional content page, I would like to use vSilo, and other pages just have normal YouTube embedded. There's a short code for vSilo. Show thumbnails true. Where do I put that? So put a page to my money site, and on the additional page I would like to use. I'm just reading through your question again, Lorraine, to make sure I have the actual question right. Normal YouTube videos embedded. Yeah, so if it's a situation like that, Lorraine, you're going to have to probably make a specific page type. But, well, there's a bunch of ways to do it. That short code is going to determine how many pages of links it will display in your HTML box. So that HTML box can be the content box for your YouTube page or your WordPress page. It could also be a text box in a sidebar widget. It could also be a header widget box. It could be a lot of different places. So it depends on where you want that menu item to show up. If you want it to be just contextual in the block of text that you're writing, you can put it just into the WordPress, you know, kind of content editor when you're making a new page. Most of my silo, pardon me, most of my silo menu items are placed in the sidebar. So I have themes that have a sidebar widget that I put that code into. All right, Coco, strange question. I get how to find keywords, and I get that we can put them into our website, but I don't get how people rank 1,000 keywords and drip them every 2 to 3 days. With something like that, I'm sure there's a lot of different ways to accomplish it. If I've got a website that I want to rank for a bunch of different keywords, Coco, like, well, one of the reasons I use this site a lot just because I knew I was getting similar questions to this a lot. So I went through and I built a site that was going to give me the ability to talk about things and show them at the same time. So in Lakewood, Colorado here, I want to rank for all these different terms. Okay. These terms being on my sidebar. Some of them are they're pretty good keywords, right? Some of them are just random. I just really grabbed these at one time. So with this Repipe Lakewood, like I may rank for this right now. I can go look. Repipe Lakewood. Yeah, so I'm sitting at I'm actually sitting at number 3 and number 4 for this keyword. Oops, let me just kind of highlight these in case if you're watching in the you know, the recording, it's hard to see. So, oh, this is actually number 2 and 3, or 3 and 4. So I'm ranking number 3 and number 4 for this specific keyword. Now, what's interesting is that these are different pages you can see here. One of them is the Repipe Lakewood page. One of them is Galvanized Repipe Lakewood. So if you're going to rank for a lot of different terms, one way to do it, as I kind of am demonstrating here, is to have multiple pages that have different keywords on them. That's kind of the whole basis behind a siloed website. It's a big site with specific pages about specific keywords. Another way to do that would be to just take the homepage, milehighplumbing.net, and have the content include stuff about repipe or tree root removal or frozen pipes or whatever else. It'd have the keyword in it someplace, and then do the rest of my linking with anchor text and contextual links about the specific keywords. So that's kind of the example that Greg showed with KLKS. He had both of those. So he had specific pages and he also had specific anchor text. Currently, Mile High Plumbing does not have any anchor text links pointing to it. There's only on page going on. So on page works very well. It's also very safe. You don't get hit really with on page over optimization that much. You still have to be mindful of it, but it's not that big a deal for the most part. So hopefully that maybe demonstrates at least one way to do that if you're interested in ranking for a bunch of different terms. So, all right, Coco, not sure I missed this in all the videos I watched and rewatched, but I'm totally convinced missed a major step here. Can you please explain? Fingers crossed. And toes. Whew, toes and fingers. Hopefully that worked, Coco. I know we were kind of lagging. We're 13. I get a little verbose, and I'm all wound up from not sleeping for the last week and whatever. So if I still need some more explanation, just let me know. All right, Pat, apologies for the basic question. I have a prospect chasing me for a few services, and I have their website. Keywords, monthly spends around 500, and they want to rank for local area. Where should I start with my initial research? What I would do is to look at the keyword traffic for their search terms in the local city that they're in, Pat. So if it's in Phoenix and they want to rank for, you know, landscaping or sprinkler system installed or whatever it might be, I'd start looking to see what kind of search volume the keyword planner tool tells you they have. That's only a rough estimate, but at least gives you an idea of, oh yeah, there's plenty of search volume or search traffic there to go after. And then I kind of just back into a proposal that way. Say, oh yeah, there's, you know, $20,000 worth of jobs out there every, you know, every month that are people searching for your service. Let's get you in front of those people. You know, you're spending $500. It's going to probably cost you $750 a month to get in front of these people, but you're going to make an extra $25,000 a month. So, you know, it probably seems like a reasonable investment in your marketing, if that makes sense. So I've got the kind of the procedure on how I frame those proposals up in my 60-day day job killer, as well as the pay per lead module. Cotton also on a whole nother level than me. He is amazing at this stuff. So if you watch any of his content in Project J currently, he's going to talk about that kind of stuff. So I would definitely recommend looking at his material. We kind of follow the same methodology. He's just incredibly gifted and talented at describing kind of the sales process and the proposal process, framing, positioning, all that kind of thing. So definitely would have a look at anything you can from Cotton. All right, Rob, when you mentioned anchor text, we can tailor our anchor text from sites such as Twitter. I didn't realize that. I thought we probably only be able to use that as a direct link. Cut URL again. Yeah, any place that you have access to an HTML box, you can put anchor text in, Rob. You know, shorteners and things that Twitter uses will most likely kind of strip those out from the actual link pointing to your content, but they're there, even if they're on the second tier back. So all that being said, it adds context. Really, anchor text is a piece of context about the link. So it can either come from a themed PBN, or it can come from a link that has anchor text associated to it. Both of those are ways for you to add context to the link. So hopefully that may be a little piece of insider perspective that helps you understand why we have anchor text on links. It doesn't really necessarily change. A link is a link, but it adds better context or more easily deciphered context for Google. Anchor text is saying, this is what this link is about. Otherwise, if you just have like a naked URL, Google's got to look at the whole rest of your page to determine what that link is about. So both of those are good things to have. Just that anchor text is very powerful in it. All right, Anthony, I purchased 5 PBNs before joining OMG using Becker's formula. I let the hosting expire with SEO hosting, but renew the domains at GoDaddy.com. Okay. Recently did a Google D-index search using an URL site and did not see my domains. Should I consider my PBNs toxic and just focus on finding new PBNs to buy? Maybe. Make sure you put a space here and make sure you look for www also. But yeah, if you've got de-indexed and you're sure they're de-indexed sites, Anthony, you do not want to use those to link to your money sites. So just kind of depends. Make sure, just do a little more searching. Sometimes I put stuff like this in, and if I don't have the exact right phrasing, or I look at the exact actual installation location, like www versus non-www, it doesn't come back, but the actual other way it could be displayed is still indexed. So just make sure you look into that a little deeper. If you find that it's not indexed, then yeah, I just let them go. Just don't use them. Rob, can you explain why people are using short URLs for their links back to social properties? Is there a need? No, not really. Sometimes if you've got a short URL, Rob, it just shows up in the text. Maybe it increases the the click-through rates or something like that, if I'm understanding your question correctly. Things like Twitter, though, you've only got what 80 characters or something like that to work with, so they use shorteners in there just to make sure that you don't eat up all of your tweet space with actual link URL. All right, Kara, great stuff so far. Thanks. Looking for a 7-pack for a dentist, only ranks one location. How would I set them up for another location with an address issue? Small town, not sure about making one up. Yeah, if it's a small town, look at when you go into Google My Business page, you can define the service area. Make sure that it includes any surrounding towns you want to rank in. And then as you're building out the citations, if you can get mentions of those surrounding towns in those citations, you've got your actual name, address, phone number, but sometimes those citation locations will let you have a short synopsis about your business and things of that nature. I would make sure you try to get those other surrounding towns in the description. So yeah, there's a couple ways to go about doing it. Obviously, if you have more than one location, that helps. But you can rank, in a small town or a mid-sized town even specifically, if you're based in, maybe I'm trying to think of something that would work. Fredericksburg, Texas, and you're the only person that does stained glass repair, and that comes up in the 7-pack. You might also show up when somebody's looking for stained glass repair in Austin or something like that, if that makes sense. If you get not only kind of the citations, name, address, phone number right, but get some description with some relevant keywords, location keywords in there, Kara. That's something that comes to mind. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that you might want to do. Make sure that the website you have connected to that 7-pack listing, that my Google My Business listing, make sure the website has the service areas in it. So you've probably seen down at the bottom of a lot of pages on a local business website saying, oh, we service Phoenix and Scottsdale and Mesa and Chandler and Gilbert and Buckeye. Having those keywords on the page, on the website itself, is going to help you rank for those terms as well in the 7-pack. So, all right, Pat, if I create Web 2.0 blog or social media, Facebook, Twitter, etc., do I need to continuously post to these sites? Concern is the amount of work required to manage them once I have a few clients. No, you don't have to manually do that, Pat. It definitely helps, but there are some software tools available that you can set up. One of them that I use that I like is called Hootsuite. I'm going to go ahead and post that in the chat box here real quick, just in case. You can check that out, Pat. What it does is once you post a piece of content on your website, it'll syndicate that out to the relevant Web2 blogs and social media platforms that you want to get that content on. So you can definitely do that, and it won't be looked at as duplicate content either, just because it's all connected. All right, Lorraine, thank you for sharing. Fletch, it means a lot. If you don't mind sharing some more, how long did it take you to become truly relaxed with the new lifestyle? No thoughts it was a crazy dream or fear it would not be lost somehow. You're so easy breezy and relaxed. I love your style. Well, thanks, Lorraine. Honestly, it took a while. And when I say it took a while, it took well over a year for me to really not be afraid it was all going to go away. And a lot of that came from truly just, I was giving and I was helping people and I had all this, financial success and all these other kinds of things. But it really, I still haven't identified when that shift changed from, thinking that I was doing it well to thinking that it would last and it was more comfortable is not the right word, but that I was more at ease with it. You actually described it better probably than I did. I talked about it a little bit at the live event. Tim Schmidt actually asked me a question specifically about it when I was, I got to speak a little bit to open the event with Becker. And I was, I kind of gave my little 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And Tim asked me a question about that, just really in having, he met me last year and we really hit it off. He's a great guy. But, he said, this year you're definitely different. And, what do you attribute that to? A lot of it's stuff that I now am able to describe with kind of terminology or concepts that David has given me. I understood it, but I understood it in my own mind and my own words. It just becomes easier when we have common language to talk about it. And one of the things that I had really was a lot of goals for the past. If you know more about my story, I had, envisioned myself playing in the NFL. That was my life dream. And that was all I did up until I was 24 years old. That was what I was trying to do. And, had an injury that didn't work. I decided to do other things, but still in the back of my head, I was continually undermining my success and worrying about, whether or not the things I was doing currently would ever bring me happiness. And, I still had this like subconscious goal to do that, to play in the league. And so I was always kind of undermining myself, and I was always worrying that like, oh, maybe I'm not doing the right thing kind of thing. So, I don't necessarily have a perfect explanation for when that shifted, but again, it was a breakthrough, is what David talks about a lot. When it happens, and it's pervasive and ubiquitous, and it kind of covers everything. So certainly don't get down on yourself if it still feels like this is all transient or crazy, or like maybe it'll all go away tomorrow. I felt like that for a long time. And but I don't anymore. So don't think that, oh, this is just the nature of life. It's not. So hopefully that maybe helps with me sharing kind of my experience and how it works. So, but that your last few words here, well, the fear it could be lost for a long time, for the whole first year I was doing this, at least, that every night I went to bed worried that I could keep it going. So, but I didn't need to. That's a nice thing. Now that's all gone. It all works. So anyway, all right, Sean, in order to have a reasonable chance to rank a new money site, what do we need to get started in addition to register domain name? I know it really depends a lot on factors like PBNs, all the different software people reference in the OG, other. No, really just having the right hosting set up, Sean, and that's changed recently. Having a separate hosting account really for each of your money sites is important. You can do a lot just with on-page, just getting your URL structure set up properly and getting some decent content on there. It's not about content, but it's about having the right content. And then beyond that is just links. So PBNs are a way to control our links and have good links, but there are other ways to accomplish it as well. You mentioned the software. If we talk about GSA, if we talk about Magic Submitter, or building Web 2.0 profiles out and pointing it back to our sites or whatever it might be. Beyond that, that's really, you know, I'm not trying to make it over simple because there are specific things we need to do within that framework, but it's not that much. There really aren't other concepts you have to consider, Sean. So other than competition really, in some niches, you can have 100 websites doing something pretty well. And in certain other, you know, competition niches, you may not have any. So those are going to definitely be a factor on how much you have to do to get ranked. All right, Coco, is Mile High site vSilo? Yes, it is, Coco. And you put the vSilo in the sidebar widgets. Oh, I think I understand. Yeah, got lost with anchor text. I believe that's PBN, so right. Yep. Yeah, so anchor text is really, even on Mile High Plumbing. Oops. Yeah, so like this burst pipes Lakewood, that's anchor text, you know, because it's pointing to a different URL. It's pointing to, if I click on this page, URL it's pointing to is this. So this is the link URL, but the anchor text for that link are going to be burst pipes Lakewood. So anchor text can be on page and it can be off page both. If it's off page, yeah, coming from a PBN, that's going to be something you want to think about. But yeah, with vSilo, I put those, it's a widget that you should go into widget area, and you can just drop, grab that and drop it into your sidebar area that you want to display those menu items. And that'll be essentially the way you create a functional silo site, Coco. Haven't slept for the past week. You do realize that you won't be sleeping for the next 18 to 24 years, yes? Yeah, we've got a 15-month-old at home too, Coco. So we were aware of that kind of thing. And then a 9-year-old. So yeah, we've got, I've got to stay healthy and make money with 3 daughters. So again, redouble my commitment to continuing to provide a lot of value online. I'll put it that way. Rob, video, if we are in low competition markets, i.e. 200 pages total organic search, what social properties would be the easiest to use and best to link to your videos? For example, I'm on page 1, position 8 for video has nothing but Google Plus link. Yeah, but I not own a PBN yet. Yeah, Rob, you can definitely, I'm glad you mentioned that, because you can really make use of those social properties. You've got Facebook. I love Facebook, fan page or business page. Google Plus page, obviously, a YouTube channel. If you're not ranking YouTube video, you want to rank like LinkedIn or something like that. You can use those high domain authority social platforms and get good link juice out of them. Even if they're a no follow, I won't say it doesn't matter. It's better if they're a do follow, but even if they're a no follow link, you can get some definite ranking influence with that kind of stuff. So really kind of those big ones. You can definitely sprout out into WordPress, into Weebly, things like that. You control a lot of the content that way, and you can put do follow links in your content, and they're free to build out. So that all works. All right, Gregory Fletch, do you prefer vSilo out of the 3 silo plugins from Network Empire? You know what? I've got the other 3, but they had their kind of silo builder and vSilo previous to OMG Live. I was not aware of the simple silo builder. That was not something that they may have had it, but if they did, I was not aware of it. So yeah, I still prefer vSilo as the plugin of choice for me building out sites. All right, Pat Cranny, if I'm looking for phone numbers for lead gen, what do I search for in Google? Are you aware of any in Australia? Yeah, they're definitely, I would do a search for something like call tracking or call forwarding services, Pat. I know there are several in Australia. They're not front of mind at the moment, but people talk about them within the OMG groups. We definitely have some people doing lead gen in Australia. And so there are services that work there, as well as pretty much the entirety of Europe and Canada, outside of the US as well. So yeah, do a Google search for like call forwarding or call tracking or things like that, and they should come up with some options for you. And then you can always just post in the Facebook group and just ask a question for anybody doing call tracking in Australia. I'm sure there's some people that'll help you out with stuff. I don't do any work there, so it's hard for me to kind of remember everything about different locations. So I apologize for that. Pardon me. Okay, does keyword-rich content above the fold play a role in Google rankings? Would prefer to put 400 words below all the products on a client e-commerce site for better conversion. Yeah, it's kind of a sweet spot. You know, you're going to have a trade-off. Definitely having more keyword-rich content above the fold or relevant content above the fold. If you've got pictures or thumbnails that have, you know, keyword titles of those files or the pictures, or like hover text that is keyword rich, those are all going to help you. But, you know, whether it helps you rank or whether it helps you sell, you're just going to kind of have to play with your numbers. If you do enough with the site, you shouldn't have too many problems ranking well. So I would probably lean a little more toward the conversion side of it, as long as you're not doing anything that's like just bad SEO with, having a bunch of duplicate content, images that are all just, random stuff that don't have, related title tags or, file names or things like that, that you can just do better than that. But as long as you're doing good SEO, you shouldn't have to worry about that too much, Cliff. But good question. And yeah, it definitely does come into play. All right, Coco, I'd like to outsource the work for my video for my SEO site. Do you have any suggestions for a person that writes good copy script, including research, and someone that creates nice videos? I'm trying to think. There was somebody that came up that a couple OMGers had used for video creation. I can't remember who they are at the moment. Honestly, I understand the outsourcing, and I'm not saying don't do it, but the best videos that I've seen were ones that people did themselves. So even if you do decide to get somebody to outsource it and you go with that, just practice it. Because the more of you put into your marketing, the more you create brand distinction, the easier it's going to be for you to build something that's more stable and that's more you and is easier to have a life built around. So that being said, it's a good question to just post to the main Facebook group. I know I saw something on there within the last 6 weeks or so of somebody that did really good outsourced videos for us. You know, they were an OMGer, so they understood what we wanted and needed. So that should all work. Okay, Kathleen, you say David. I'm not sure if that was responding to Coco or something else. So I'm not sure the reference there, but okay, Rob, you enter new niches for pay-per-lead purposes without having a client set up first. The reason I ask is I'm wondering how to enter an area but not encompass too much geographical area that would cause problems with one phone number, funnel point for all the leads. Yeah, I get that, Rob. Well, Phoenix metro area has 3 area codes, really, that all are relevant here. So it's kind of East Valley, Central Phoenix, and West Valley. Sometimes I have a client set up, sometimes I don't. I usually will get one site set up, ranked, generating leads. I'll use that site to get a new client, and then I'll create the rest of the assets, the rest of the websites to generate leads for them. So that's kind of my process typically. All right, Pat Cranny, is there a suggested video creation software for producing videos picture-in-picture on Windows and Windows PCs? I use Camtasia and ScreenFlow. I like ScreenFlow a little better. I think it works on PCs as well. Pat, you can look into that. But both of those softwares both of those pieces of software are pretty easy to use, pretty easy to get into. Not super expensive. They're not high-end editing, but all of my videos that I've done, I use those exclusively for. So I know these aren't overly impressive visually, but like the main video on my YouTube channel and stuff, I used ScreenFlow for that. So you can check that out. And just depending on your budget and how much time you want to spend with it, there's Sony Vegas and a couple other things that you can step up from there, but Camtasia and ScreenFlow are both good options for you, Pat. All right, Sean, apologies if this has been discussed, but I see on Mile High Plumbing that there's no anchor text. Is this because it's only being used as an example to us, or Is this how you built your real sites? If so, why no anchor text? I use anchor text only when I need to, Sean. If I've got a keyword that I've got really, some specific competition for, very astute of you, by the way. So if you did like, if you went and dropped that into, I actually haven't put it into anything for a while. Oops, let me see what I got. If we drop Open Site Explorer and we put milehighplumbing.net. Yeah, so it's got 3 root domains coming up. We'll wait till these populate and see what we've got. Yeah, so it's Alexa. Those are nothing I built. If we go to Majestic, drop it in here, see what comes up. I really haven't built many links that I can remember at all. This says I have 85. I'm actually kind of surprised that that's that high, but I do have 1,400 indexed URLs. So if we go look at the backlinks, so these are just, these are sites that will go and just analyze sites. I didn't do any of these. List domains. I'm not logged in. The rest of these should show up. Yeah, so a lot of these are just feed by. Yeah, this is like an RSS syndication. So it's just going to have naked URLs. What else is in here? Feedbyte. Yeah, all those are just Mile High Plumbing. So they're going to have the naked URLs just because that's the way RSS works. So if you grab, your RSS syndication or your RSS feed and you go drop it in some of these syndicators, it'll give you a backlink, but it's going to be a naked URL backlink. So that's the way those work. I won't say it was necessarily by design, but it works. I'll put it that way. So if I need some more oomph, we talked about kind of the way I look at anchor text and context. And anchor text is a really easy to decipher piece of context for the link, what it's about. So if I need that extra piece of content, I can add it. If I don't, I leave it out. Just it's easier to, I don't want into over optimization issues. So that's kind of the way it works. All right, Gregory, I can personally say in regards to when you answered Lorraine's question, your speech and personal conversations with you have been a complete eye-opener for me when it comes to you speaking about being comfortable with this crazy lifestyle. Incredible. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that, bud. It's an interesting experience, and as much as anything, I think, one of the things I can do, and then I hope everybody here is able to do as you continue to grow, in online marketing or just in your life, is just to continue to be open with people about the experience. Sometimes I know I've been guilty of getting caught up in, what I need to say in a certain way to sell something, or, I just went and I listened to Anthony Robbins and now I need to act this way, and until you really internalize it, one of the concepts that came out recently with David Mills's breakthrough stacking was kind of the breakthrough and then the consolidation. The consolidation period is huge. And until you can really, live it and get all the details right, you don't really have it yet. And so, I would just really, I guess, implore the people that we have that are kind of going through these breakthroughs right now to make sure that you do go through that consolidation period, because it's what lets things become comfortable. So I appreciate you saying that, though, Gregory. It's very kind. All right, Pat. Agree completely with Lorraine and Greg's observations. When you speak, it sounds so natural, like you were born to do this. Well, maybe I was. I'm not sure, but it did take me a while to get here. Just turned 40, and having never really done anything on a public stage at all previous to this, everybody's got their own kind of path and their own experience to to go through. So I'm glad it seems to be working and helping people. That really makes this worthwhile to me. So thank you for saying that. All right, Mike, if you were to redo Mile High Plumbing, would you use the URL stringing Greg shows to keep the over optimization down? You know, really, I don't know if I would, Mike. I think it's a good concept, and I think it's one that people who are needing to use a lot of backlinks for should be very aware of and mindful of. But like I said, with that website, I'm doing almost everything on that site with just naked URL links, so that stringing doesn't, you know, come into play there. And even that being said, the on-site anchor text, as you're probably referring to, is not getting me into an over optimization issue at all. It hasn't seemed to come into play. I've not encountered any kind of weird, you know, ceiling on ranking for things. Like I just did that search for repipe and Arvada or whatever. I've got 2 pages in the top 4, and there are no links going to either one of those pages other than just the on-site silo structure. So yeah, really kind of look into that a little deeper. The stringing concepts and techniques I think is good because it looks more natural. And if you do wind up with any kind of a Google like a personal review, you know, where a human's actually looking at something, you probably look a lot more natural if you've got less, you know, 2 and 3 and 4 keyword anchor text terms. But with on-site stuff like that, it's really hard to say, oh yeah, that page is not about Lakewood galvanized repiping, because when you go to the page, it's got a YouTube video that Google loves that's got, you know, something about galvanized repiping in Lakewood. So like I said, with the local stuff, I don't have to do enough with links that I run into many issues with penalties or over optimization or anything. All right, Andy Green. Hey, Joshua, many thanks for your advice earlier on the OMG beginner group about just getting going and finding the breakthrough moment and really firing, ranking Web 2 sites and YouTube videos to rank them high on page 1 to use Magic Submitter. I did when I started, Andy. About maybe 10 months ago, I started using GSA, and I'm a fan of that as well now. And then I also, in addition to both of those, use something called Money Robot, very similar again, but just has a pretty easy to understand interface. So I've used all 3 of them with pretty good results. For the most part, I'm actually kind of trying to use like social profiles that I create or I outsource creation for a lot now, and just embed them and things of that nature. So kind of, I know moving toward the end of the year here, and the director's cut, new content coming out. I imagine there's going to be some new strategies or kind of concepts for ranking videos, just because I know there's been a lot of people who have kind of gone away from using Fiverr gigs and things like that. So we still need to not find a way, but talk about and teach some ways that are safe to rank YouTube videos. If you haven't done it yet, and this is not just for you, but anybody else here, make a video and send a PBN link to it. You're going to be surprised. There are people who have 10,000 spam links going to a YouTube video and they're on page 2. There are videos I have with 2 PBN links going to them and they're ranked number 1 for their keyword. So it's not always about the number of links. It's certainly not currently, and it's getting less and less that way. So you can definitely use PBN or high quality. Like if you've got a WordPress.com site, andygreen.wordpress.com, you can put a post on there and treat that as a PBN, essentially. So you can get those links going to your videos pretty cheaply if you haven't yet. So, all right, Andy, I've got 3 PBNs up and running, and I've optimized videos. They're all ranking well in the video section, but miles off the organic pages. Yeah. Kind of going back to what I just talked about there, grab those and embed them in some Web 2.0 properties like LinkedIn or a Facebook business page or a WordPress.com site or post. Those are going to count as a link, and they're also going to help your essentially how many times your videos get watched, because if you get traffic to those other properties and somebody watches the video there, it counts toward your on-page, you know, qualities like views and likes and all that kind of thing. So, yeah, that's what I would recommend. If you don't want to, you know, go the full 9 yards and learn GSA or Money Robot, or get up a dedicated server and try to rank that, or use something where you embed it across 10,000 different blogs. All right, Rob, Hootsuite is a version of Twitter feed on steroids. Kind of, I believe. I'm not familiar with Twitter feed, but yeah, Hootsuite you can use to syndicate out to a bunch of different kinds of platforms. You essentially just put all your passwords in there, and it auto syndicates for you across properties you own. So that's how that works, Rob. All right, Sean, you answered my question via Coco's question. Oh, cool. Good to know. All right, Sean, I think I meant why none of your text not in the sidebar has no anchor. Or is it just not needed? Yeah, currently it's just not needed. Again, that site really, it was kind of set up to show what you can do with just on page and vSilo. That's really all I've done to that. I think I may have syndicated a couple RSS feeds, and that's about it. Other than that, I really haven't done anything to it at all, Sean. So, and you know, you can tell I just grabbed a random page, you know, when I was looking at this repipe here. You know, it turns out I ranked number 3 and number 4 for a keyword that probably doesn't get much search volume, but it's a reasonable search term. Somebody living in a town of, you know, 250,000 people who need to get their, you know, plumbing taken care of. I don't know. Plumbing. I doubt if I rank anywhere near the top for anything like this. Yeah, so this triggered the 7-pack. Yeah, I'm not on the first page for this. I might not even be on the top 50. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not going to go through and bore you guys with looking at that. This site gets a good amount of, you know, good amount of people on it every day. Oh yeah, right here. So number 20. That's not bad, right? Wait, page 3. So bottom of page 3, 29. Rank number 29 for 250,000 people without any links on a site that's not about that. It's just a single page that's about that. So, so you know, yeah, it's not needed to do that well. If I wanted to do better than that, I would probably need to put a little effort into anchor text from PBNs and stuff like that. Okay. All right, Lorraine, have to go, Fletch. I truly thank you for your time and sincerity. My only issue this week is that I can see success, so I have now begun to panic that I may not well get it and then lose it. Oh yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, you won't. You won't. Not only are we all here for you, but this whole thing is set up to not have that happen, Lorraine. So, but I totally get it, and it's something that I assume affects more than just me, you know, because I went through it. So don't think that you're weird or that because you're feeling it, it's going to happen. So anyway, embrace anxiety. So next year, oh, so happy days. I like it. I like it. Okay, cool. All right, Sean, is CallFire and CallZoo what Joe Marfolio uses essentially the same? Sorry for so many questions. No, perfect, Sean. Yeah, I actually am starting to like CallZoo more and more. I've moved over to it, and I've got about 20 phone numbers set up. And it actually now is, I prefer it to CallFire. So depending on how comprehensively Joe goes through it, either he or I will probably put a little bit more as far as training and invoicing and stuff together. Training on invoicing and all that kind of thing for CallZoo. But yeah, we're both big fans of that. He actually was the one who put me onto it. So Lorraine, P.S. Thank God someone's finally said they like ScreenFlow. I bought it, and then I heard everybody loves Camtasia. I was gutted. Good night. Yeah, no, ScreenFlow is sweet. I'm a big fan of it. Cliff, with DAS, should you link to specific Web 2.0 posts from other Web 2.0s, or do you link back to the Web 2.0 blog root URL? I don't talk about DAS here. I mention it just because I have it and I use it. As we move forward into 2015 Director's Cut, having Jimmy on board, that's really his content. And it would be really me undermining his value if I taught it or really did a lot with that, Cliff. Hopefully you understand. What you're describing there, you've definitely conceptually got the way to use it. Either one of those are going to work. I'll tell you that. I won't necessarily comment too much on which one's optimal, but you're not going to blow yourself up with either method you use there. I'll put it that way. Okay, Rob. I know I have said before you make small sniper type sites as well as authority type sites to capture leads. Do you make the smaller sites branded, or do you have more keyword and location in the domain name? Yeah, the smaller sites, Rob, I use almost all EMDs. So very, very targeted, specific to the keywords I want to rank for. All right, Rob, by the way, I agree with everyone else. I could listen to you speak all day. So mellow, informative, and most important, down to earth. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. So, yeah. Sean's also saying Screen-O-Matic is free and it works fine. Cool. Yeah, so it's a kind of a screen capture video software, it sounds like, at least by the name. Yeah, those Camtasia, I think, was for a Mac anyway. It's pretty cheap. It's like $100, and ScreenFlows are like, I think it's 100 or 150. So, yeah, perspective changes. I'm still very much aware of, you know, when you're getting going, you really don't want to put a lot of money into something you don't know you're going to use all the time. Both those pieces of software are solid though. So, but if you can get going with Screen-O-Matic, something that's free, then definitely it's even better. All right, Sean, do you have a particular piece of software or system to track your business in addition to all that's in OMG, all the accounting and so on? Yeah, so that's something that I identified pretty early on, that it seems weird, but I bet, well, 80% of my effort, I'm talking like internal, like, I got to go look at my accounting or whatever. It comes down to that. So there's some things that are in the process of getting either created or beta tested, or I'm integrating. Call Zoo actually will help this quite a bit for me, Sean. A lot of my, a lot of my revenue comes from pay-per-call. So I've got a lot of time spent tracking all that kind of thing. Call Zoo does that. Once you spend the time setting it up properly, it does a lot of that automatically. So, you know, beyond that, I use QuickBooks, and I'm certainly, this is not my strong point, but moving forward into next year, I'm going to spend more time on kind of the business elements, just getting a good solid foundation on how I keep track of my expenses, my profits, my invoicing, as well as, you know, I'm certainly not a lawyer or CPA or anything like that, but really the way I've just structured my business, you know, how I have things set up with trusts and LLCs and things like that, because it's an important piece, especially as we start to make, you know, this kind of strong income. We want to protect ourselves and really create a situation where we get to keep as much of our income as we can and protect the ability to make more of it. So moving forward, I'll probably, you know, share more of that. But at the moment, it's pretty much just hodgepodge. I use, you know, QuickBooks as a central place to keep track of my billing and when I've received money on things. And then CallZoo is really going to help me keep track of my invoices and how many calls belong on each, you know, invoice I send out. All right, Pat Craney, back to my initial prospect research question. Is there a checklist of what to review, e.g. Google AdWords keyword tool? And then, yeah, so what I would do on that situation, Pat, definitely use the Google Keyword Planner tool and look to see how much search traffic there is. And then another thing I would do, if you don't have any other tools that, you know, you've purchased like TLKT or something like that, I would just go to Google and I would do a search for those keywords and see what kind of sites are coming up. Use a browser that you've installed, like the Moz plugin for. It will give you an idea of the number of backlinks and a domain authority to each of the pages that Google is ranking. And it'll give you a little better impression of really how strong the sites are that are ranking for those keywords. And that'll be mostly for you. It'll let you have a better impression of how much you might need to do to be able to rank for the keywords that you're going to propose on. So really with those two things, if you have an idea or a concept of how much each of those customers might be worth and what the kind of conversion ratio would be, So if you've got 100 people on your site, is that going to turn into 2 new customers or 20 new customers? And do each of those customers, are they going to be worth $20 or $100 or $1,000? Once you have kind of those numbers together, you'll have a pretty clear picture that you can paint for the prospect as to how much business they're not currently getting on the internet. And then for yourself, how much work you might need to put into getting your client that business. Aside from that, that's about all I do. So, and it was interesting when I heard Cotton talk at OMG Live. He walked through his process, which is so much more polished than mine. But conceptually, a lot of it comes down to that same type of thing. So, all right, Kara, I have to run. This was my first time and learned so much. Thank you and enjoy the new edition. Thanks, Kara. Glad you were on for sure. All right, Rob, are we asking for trouble by making individuals for specific keywords such as burst pipe, repipe, etc., instead of one video with a massive description covering a variety of keywords? You know, it's one of those things that you have to play with a little bit, Rob. I do both. There's my solution. But yeah, sometimes you want to put all your eggs in one basket and then guard that basket. Other times you want to have, you know, the alternative, which is a lot of separate videos that are very specific. There was, and I believe there still is, a kind of a move within Google's algorithm to try to give more credit or allow for more influence for authority sites, so bigger sites that cover more concepts that are related to one another. I think it'll still kind of continue to do that. Consolidation seems to be kind of a meta theme in business. You know, these big multinational corporations got that way for a reason. So it's something definitely that I would consider on that. Making one really good video that ranks for a lot of terms, Rob. But at the same time, as you've seen, as I've shown a lot of different, like even with the spinal decompression Phoenix, specific keyword, very small. It outranks some of the bigger sites that are more authoritative, and it makes money. So you can do it both ways. I'll just say that you can do it both ways. All right, Pat, with Day Job Killer, I can understand ongoing fees for pay-per-call, but what other models should, but what are the other models and why would clients keep paying? Well, one of the things that clients would continue to pay for is that the Google algorithm changes, and they're expecting you as a professional to stay on top of those changes and keep them ranked. So that's one reason. Another is that, sometimes people just get used to paying for something. And if everything's going the same way, they're probably going to continue to pay you for it. Like I said, I don't do a lot with SEO. Cotton has some amazing concepts for this that I was really like, at first I was like, that doesn't seem like that would be the right way to do it. But he actually talks about this specifically. And again, it's his content, so I don't want to teach it myself. It's, he's the one that shared it with me and some of the people at Live, but it'll be coming out, if he hasn't already shared it within the videos, which I haven't got to see everything he shared so far. As we move forward, Cotton's very generous with the stuff he shares for client getting. Definitely something to think about, Pat. And it's not like there's a right answer that's right for everybody in every situation. But at the same time, there really is. It's kind of a situation where I really like to charge a client for what they get. And I don't want to charge a client for something they're not getting. That's why I kind of went with the pay-per-call thing. If they get a call, yeah, they're going to pay me for it. If they stop getting calls, they don't have to pay me. If they stop paying me, they're not going to get calls. With SEO, as we know, it takes some work to get them ranked. And then after that, it may be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months before we really need to do that much to keep them there. So kind of depending on the way you priced it and the way you framed the, proposal up and all that kind of thing, that all comes into play. It just really depends on what service you're providing, what service the business thinks they're getting, and really what service the business is getting, the results they're getting. So that all comes into play with that. All right, Pat, how do I spell Callzoo? Oh, yeah, that's kind of a weird word. Let me type that in here. It's with a K, K-A-L-L-Z-O-O. QZX899 Pat. Oh yeah, Rob helped. I should have read. All right, Coco, I don't think this question's been asked. Do you have a suggestion for where to get phone number in the US to be used for SEO site? Would it be the same for Legion? Yeah, Coco, you could use the same. This is the phone number I have on my. I just built. I don't know if you guys saw. I started building my SEO site here. So, oh yeah, that's just my cell phone right now. But I'll just buy a number from Twilio and drop that on there so I can track it when I start getting SEO done to it, other than on page. All right, Rob Fletch, as usual, thanks so much for your time. Absolutely, bud. I'm glad you were on. Thank you. Great questions today. Really helped me, talk about some concepts we don't cover all that often. So it was good stuff. All right, Pat. Customers seem to be worth about $1,000 per about 32 competitive sites. Oops. Where we go here? 30 competitive sites. How do I find out how long it might take an estimate to move a no ranking page to site one? You're probably looking 3 to 4 months, Pat. Just, I'm just lobbing one out there. It's a pretty safe estimate. You might be on the short end of that. You might rank a little more quickly, but I'd say it's a safe bet to say 3 to 4 months probably. All right, Pat, if this helps, niche is a mobile mechanic in Sydney. Yeah, you're probably right in there. I do some specific auto brand mechanic shops, not mobile, but like, Audi repair or, Volkswagen repair. And my experience has been, 3 or 4 months in there. Works pretty well. All right, cool. All right, Pat, Greed Cotton is super generous with his knowledge and time. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Cool. All right, Pat, Fletch, has been awesome. Thank you so much for all the help. Absolutely, guys. Thank you. It looks like we've run up on our kind of scheduled time for today. So I do have to kind of jet. I know we started a few minutes late, but hopefully everybody got their questions answered. I got another meeting I got to go over to real quick with another SEO prospect. So hopefully everybody's in good shape to move forward and prosper this coming week. I'll be a little more available. This last week's been crazy with Thanksgiving and the new baby arriving, but definitely want to help anybody out that's stuck. So definitely in the Facebook group, if you got any questions, post me, tag me so that I see it. If I miss it, just tag me in the comments or something like that. I'll take a look at it. And then, moving forward, definitely office hours next week. And we'll kind of continue to move in this direction. So really appreciate and value everybody's time. Thanks for sharing this time with me. I definitely value it. And hopefully I was able to give you all some really good answers and concepts to really include in your breakthroughs, hopefully, for online money getting and SEO. So until we talk next time, guys, take care. Thanks again. We'll talk to you all soon.